Okay, welcome to week 3 of Introduction to Dreamweaver, and I'm Jeff Diamond, your host today. Hi, now I'm going to stop using all that bandwidth for video and close that. So, today we're going to be focusing on adding text and images, and before we do that, I'm just going to go back to August 29th last week and make sure that everything is under control for everyone. So the first thing, and a very important thing, is the homework that is due as of midnight today. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes making sure that that is up to snuff. So I'm going to put a little marker here, homework for week 3, and the way those markers work as a review is that if you go to the video archive and go to the bottom left-hand corner from any video archive, you'll see a little pull-down menu, and that shows all of the recording indexes, which serve as a table of contents. So, homework. You were supposed to create a new document, activate your links, save your page as index, right there, as index.html, upload that, and then send me an email. The screen I am seeing is white with class starts message. Okay, we'll have to try this again because this is a problem that we've had over the last couple of classes with CCC Confer. It's not a very good situation here. So let me try that again. I'm going to say application sharing, share my desktop, click on share, and can you see, okay, can you see the web page now? Okay, very good. So, rewind the tape. Okay, so we're looking at the homework from last week, the homework that is due as of midnight tonight. The primary focus of this homework was making sure that your site was properly defined and that you create a new document that served as your index page, and it also serves as your template for a whole bunch of other pages that you're going to be building in the course of the semester. The most important part of that for today's assignment is that this index page that I'm pointing to down here on the bottom right-hand corner of my screen, this index page has to be uploaded to your website, and then you're supposed to send me an email which has a link to that page. Now, I've already sent an email out this morning, first of all indicating that the class was starting, and also indicating that I've posted the grades for those people who've completed. I posted the grades for everybody, and for those people who haven't completed the assignment yet, you have to make sure that that is done by midnight, September 5th, 2012. That's today. So, just to show you as an example of what it would look like if your homework was properly completed, I'm going to go to my home page and select Student Homework Galleries. And all of these pages are properly done here. I'll pick Vinny Fernandez. Sure, why not? And you see he's got already put a picture up. He's got his links on the left-hand side. He's put some color in his footer. He gave me some personalized information in the home page as well. Okay, I'm going to give one more example. Just click on this one here. And we see that we have these links on the left-hand side. And then on the bottom left-hand corner, we also have this W3C XHTML 1.0 validator image. When I click on that, it takes me to the validation, to the W3C validation service, and it shows me that this page is successfully checked as XHTML 1.0 strict. Okay, that's an example of a homework that meets the requirements. So, are there any questions about the homework that is due today? If you do have any questions, please feel free to type them in. I see people saying no, that's a good thing. Okay. Lots of questions. Well, start typing them in and I'll answer them as they come forward. But in the meantime, I'll just keep on going, and when I do see questions, I'll cross that bridge as it arises. So, back to the class 2 homework that is due at midnight tonight. You had created your new document, you created your links, you put your information in the link field, you created your local site definition and all of your subfolders as well, and then you sent me an email after you uploaded everything. So Carol asks, did I need to upload the HW2 etc. pages as well? No, you don't have to upload those. Right now what you've done as per the assignment instructions is you've created some of those pages that you're going to be using later on, but there's no need to upload those at this point. Okay? So, with all of that being said, you're welcome. With all of that being said, we're going to now look at the assignments related to today, and first we'll put a little link in here. And we'll say week 3 homework. I mean week 3 focus. Okay. So here we are on September 5th. And we're looking at adding texts and images, text and styles, images and placeholders, and editing images. So later on, we'll look at the specifics of hw2.html, but for now, I'm going to jump over to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to open up the digital classroom lessons. I'm going to redefine my site for the textbook, not the class, not your homework or anything like that. I'm redefining the site for the textbook. So I've got Digital Classroom Lessons selected in my Files panel. It says Local View. I click on the drop-down where it says Digital Classroom Lessons, and I click on Manage Sites. And it shows me my Manage Sites dialog box. And I click on Edit the currently selected site. And to my local site folder, now I want to point to the Dreamweaver Lesson 3. So I already did that. But if you hadn't, you would have selected DW03 Lessons, selected Open, and you see there's a subfolder called Lessons Done and Images. You're just going to select the root folder for DW03 Lessons. And I select, and then click on Save, and then click on Done. Welcome, Adele. Nice to see you. In the virtual sense, that is. So we're now within the site definition of the digital classroom lessons for the 3rd lesson. And the book talks about using style sheets, and I have a little picture here of CSS. Little styles picture, and basically what we're doing is we're using CSS or Cascading Style Sheets to style our pages. So the two things that you want to remember when it comes to website development is that the HTML is the structure of a page and the CSS is the style of a page. So if I go into Code View what I see here from the body tag down to the close of the body tag, all of this is simply my HTML. There should be no styling associated with that. It just shows up as the structure of the page. If I want to start styling the page, then what I do is I use CSS to do so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of changes to this page. And for example, we see spring events. If I click anywhere within that sentence and I go down to the properties panel, we see that spring events is heading 2, whereas rent our facility is also heading 2. Okay? Now, I want to add a little something here, so I'm going to go welcome to Organic Utopia, and I'll hit the return key, and I'll select the text welcome to Organic Utopia. I'll go to the properties panel and I'll change the formatting to heading 1, because when you're thinking of constructing a web page, you want to start with your H1 tag, which basically is like the headline of the newspaper, and then maybe the articles would be the H2 tag, and if you had sub-articles within that article, they might be the H3 tags. So you're creating a hierarchical structure where the most important thing on the page is H1, and it descends from there. But I might not like the look of this styling right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this text, and it shows me the formatting is H1. I can make changes to this formatting in a lot of different ways. I can go to the properties panel and choose CSS, and I could say, how about a new CSS rule? Now I can do that. I can create a new CSS rule, and I can click on Edit Rule, and it brings up this dialog box, and if I choose ID, it allows me to pull, well, not ID, I'm sorry. If I choose Tag, it automatically shows me the H1 tag because I have the H1 text selected. So at this point, I can create a rule for the H1 text. I can do it in this document only, which means that it will put it in the head of the document. Now I'm going to do this for right now, and I'm going to back up and do it several other different ways so we can see some variations on the theme here. So right now I'm going to click on New CSS Rule H1, and I'll choose a different font family. All of the existing font families that I have installed on my machine are going to show up here. You will have many of these. You might not have some like the web font that I've created here. But this is a large font, and when it comes to H1 headings, which is your largest size that you're going to see on your page, it's perfectly okay to use serifs. Serifs are where you have your little kind of curlicues on your ends of your letters. If you're going to smaller letters, maybe H3 or your normal text, you would not be using serifs. You would be using sans serif. But because of the fact this is larger text, I might want to give it a little additional styling. So I'm going to choose a font set that are based on serifs. I click on that font family, and I might choose a different color. And I'm going to choose a color that matches the shadow of my picture CSS. Okay? And now if I click on Apply, you see what happened to this text is it changed to a different font style. Now the color doesn't look that different on your screen because it's not that far from black. It's just a little bit of a lighter gray. Okay? But something that you'll see all of a sudden in my CSS Styles panel on the right-hand side of the screen is it says you have a rule for the H1 tag. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a rule for the H2 tag. I'll say New CSS Rule, and click on Edit Rule. and I'll choose tag, and it shows me it's the H2 tag. And I'm going to choose, I don't like to use too many different font families, so I'm going to use the same font family for this. But I'll make the color, I'll make the text color different. I'll make it a lighter gray. And I'll click on Apply. And there we see Spring Events as well as Rent Our Facility has changed to that lighter gray. Now, I might be in a situation where I only use H2 within a particular document or even on a website as the heading of big sections of something. So maybe I want it to be underlined. I'm not suggesting from a stylistic or from a usability point of view, that's a good thing, because usually when people see something underlined on a web page, they think that it's a hyperlink. So with that in mind, I'll say, well, you know what, I'm going to edit this rule. And I'm going to, first of all, make the text a little darker because it's kind of hard to see. And then I'm going to change the font weight to bold. And I click on Apply. Okay? So I've made a few changes to that H2 tag, and those changes are reflected in this rule that I have here for H2. It shows me at the top of the CSS Styles panel the font family, the text color, and the font weight. Now, one of the things that we will continue to explore is the CSS Styles panel. There are two modes to the CSS Styles panel that we'll get into deeper over the next couple of weeks. But there's the All mode, which shows you all of the styles on a web page. Or there's the Current mode, which shows you the style that you've got selected. So right now, if I select the H2 tag, it shows me these are the rules for the H2 tag. If I choose the H1 text, it shows me these are the rules for the H1 text. There are times that you want to be in one, and there are times you want to be in the other. Okay? So at this point, I've created two rules, one for the H2 text and one for the H1 text. Any questions about the creation of those rules from the Properties panel? No comments, no questions. Oh, two people told me no questions. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to back up. Thank you, Victoria. I'm going to back up, and I'm going to get rid of these rules. Several ways for me to do it. One way is to just go into the Styles panel, select All, and then click on the trash and delete those rules. So now it's back to the default settings. I'm going to show you a way that you can apply styles throughout the page in maybe a more productive manner. If I select Modify Page Properties, or as somebody pointed out in the forum, I could just go to the Properties panel and choose the Page Properties button. I bring up the Page Properties dialog box, and the page font, I will choose a sans serif font for the page generally, and that's Verdana Geneva Sans Serif. I'm going to choose that. And I'm also going to choose a very dark gray text color because that's the theme of this page. Okay? And then I'm going to go down to where it says Headings. Because we saw just now how I can control the H1 tag and the H2 tag by selecting the text that is using that tag and then styling it. But this way I can do all of the headings if I wanted to. So I'm going to choose H1 heading, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of that H1 heading to a bit of a lighter gray than the rest of the text. I'm going to do that for both of these. And I can also change the font for those to match the font that I was showing you earlier for the larger text. So for my heading 1 and heading 2, I might use a serif font. I probably would stop there from a usability point of view. If it starts getting harder for somebody to read the letters because of the serifs when the font gets smaller, that's not real productive. So I changed the color, I changed the font for those H1 and H2 tags, and I could change the size if I wanted as well. Okay? Now within the same dialog box, I can go to my links, and I could create custom links, which if you choose to do that, that's fine. You just have to be aware of the fact that normally people expect a link to be blue, and they expect it to be underlined. So if you choose not to have that approach, you want to make sure that that link does stand out sufficiently. I can also go within this page properties to my title and encoding, and I already see that there is a title to this page, but I'm happy with that title. I see it's XHTML 1.0 transitional. I'm going to change this to strict, and I'm going to click on Apply. I'm going to click on OK. And something that you will have seen happen is all of my text changed. My H1 text and my H2 text changed to a lighter gray with a serif font, and my body text changed to a darker gray, which is sans serif. Okay? So that is a way to change your styling, and doing it in a way which is a little bit more automated. You'll see in my CSS Styles panel, it shows in the All View mode, I have a whole set of rules that have been applied right over here. And these are applied in the head of the document. So I'm going to go to Code View, and we see here's my styling, right? And then here's my HTML. Again, my CSS, or my Cascading Style Sheet, is completely separate from my HTML, my structure. I would suggest there is never any reason that I can think of to create styling within the HTML. I know there's something called inline styling. I do not encourage you to use that. Okay, so the CSS really replaces inefficient styling, and there are many benefits to this CSS styling. Not only does it show up separately, and you can edit it from within the CSS Styles panel, but once you're really happy with some styling, you can export it to a separate style sheet, which we will be doing, not today, but eventually we will be doing that. So we've used the CSS Styles panel to examine our rules. We can see those rules in the All View or in the Current View. I'll go back to Design. If I click on the H1 text, it shows me the rules associated with the H1 tag. And if I open this a little bit more, you'll see that there are 3 parts to the CSS Styles panel. There's the summary, which is either all of the rules or the current rule. There are the specific rules that are part of the document, and then there are the properties for the specific rule that I've selected. And if I wanted to change, let's say, the H1 properties, I can simply click on Edit Rule over here in the CSS Styles panel on the right side of my screen, or go to the properties at the bottom and click on the little button that says Edit Rule. Both of those will bring up my CSS Styles, my Rules Definition dialog box. Okay, I heard a bing, so is there a question? If you do have a question, feel free to post it in. With the homework, if I attempted to copy in one page, it won't paste to another page. Well, I'm not sure specifically what you're copying and where you're, if you can be a little more specific for me. Are you copying and pasting styles? Are you copying and pasting HTML? What specifically are you doing there? And while attempting to copy the HTML code. Okay, well, here I am in HTML view. I can select all of my text between my body tags, I can right-click, I can choose Copy, and then I can go to another page, go to Code View, and if I am inside of the body tag, I can edit, paste, and it's going to paste that code right in. So I'm not sure exactly why you were running into that problem. Sometimes if you're in Design View and you copy and then go into HTML View and paste, you get a mess, but it should still copy and paste. So I can't tell you why you were running into that problem with your page. Okay, so we're back over on this page that we're examining to employ some CSS styling. And we've created the styling with the property inspector down below. We've created the styling with the page properties dialog box. And we've edited the styling from the CSS styles panel. Any questions about accessing your styling in any of those three ways? Okay. So I'm going to talk to you just for a minute about the understanding style sheets. Now, there are three different types of stylings that they talk about in the book, and I'll just put I'll put that down here. So we have inline, we have embedded, and we have, okay? So inline styles, that's where you would select some text and create a new rule. You'd probably do that with the HTML here. I like never do this, so it would be hard for me to figure out how. Let me see, CSS, new rule, edit rule. Yeah, I can't even begin to show you. I mean, basically, I'd have to do it by going in here and say style equal, you know, put in some kind of style. And then that would apply just to this tag. This would be what would be called an inline style. I didn't make any change there because I didn't do, yes, that's exactly what I said you shouldn't do. And I'm just trying to show you that that is something that people do sometimes. Let me try a really a really easier one. So how about if I do this? Color, PS style, color blue. Okay, and if I go back to design view, yeah, there's an inline style. I do not suggest that you do that, because if you are going to do something like you want something to look different just for one little area of a page, you would normally create a class to do that, and that's something that we cover within the next couple of weeks. But just to explain what an inline style is, it's a style that shows up directly within the tag that's being applied to the text. Okay? So that's an inline style. An embedded style is within the head of the document. So actually, for right here, I'm going to actually show you, I'm going to do something here that will connect to lists that we're going to be talking about a little later. So inline style is within the tag applying to the object selected. Bad idea. Okay. Then the embedded style is within the head of the document. An external style sheet is a separate CSS file can apply to a whole site. Okay. Now, I'm going to take all of these here, and I'm going to insert a, let's see, what am I doing here? Format, list, definition list. Yes. Okay. What I just did was I created a set of definition lists here. Inline style is within the tag applied to the object selected. That's the first. This is a definition term, inline style, and we see in split view here, DD stands for definition, dictionary definition, and the definition of that is the definition of inline style is within the tag applying to the object selected. By the way, you might be thinking to yourself, why did he jump all of a sudden to talk about definition lists? The reason is because this chapter talks about lists, and it focuses on unordered lists, that's like your bulleted lists, and ordered lists, those are your numbered lists. But there's a third type of list called a definition list. And since we're understanding style sheets, perfect opportunity for me to show you the use of a definition list. That has two parts. It has the DT, which is the term, and the DD, which is the definition. All of that wrapped inside of the DL tag. Okay? So we have, let me just format this heading here for understanding styles. Yeah, that's good. And so there's a big space there. That's because the list is creating that space. That's fine. So we see that style sheets can be inline styles, which I already showed you, an embedded style, which shows up at the top of your current page within the head tag. So here we see the head tag, and then the title, and then our styles, which ends, it shows me one style, a second style, a third style, a fourth style, and it ends with the close of the style tag. That is an embedded style sheet, and it applies to all of the HTML content on this page. The last kind of a style sheet is an external style sheet. And I can show you even using these existing styles. I'm going to select all of these styles in my CSS Styles panel on the top right-hand corner of my page by holding the Shift key down and selecting them all. Then I'm going to right-click, and I can say Move these CSS rules. And then I can say I will put them in a new style sheet. And normally I would always have a separate folder for my CSS, and I could call this hw3.css, and I can click on Save. And you'll notice, after I delete the empty style tag on this page, you'll notice now if I go to Code View, I don't see any of the styles here. All I see is a link to the hw3.css style sheet, which is existing right over here. So there are three very distinct ways to create styles. One is inline styles. We don't want to do that. Two are embedded styles. We do that for the first couple of homework assignments. And one of the advantages of that is that it is easy to see within the file we are editing. Okay, it is it's more powerful in the sense that it's closer to the actual tag. So if you have an external style sheet and you have internal styles, the embedded styles are going to override the external style sheet because they're closer to the object in question. It is more powerful in the sense that it overrides external styles. But it's less powerful in the sense that an external style sheet can apply to a whole site. It is more powerful in that it is more universal. Okay, so those are our three types of style sheets: inline styles, embedded styles, and external style sheets. Any questions about those? External is the best use for larger sites. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, as you can see, the only downside, and this is why we move on from embedded styles early on in the semester to other styles later on in the semester, the only downside is that it creates a separate sheet. So you kind of have to jump between the two sheets in order to examine the code. It's not a big downside, but it's just something to be aware of. Okay? So we're back in design view on this page. We've talked about the various style sheets. Can you show again how you created an external style sheet? Absolutely. Let me move these back to the, actually, probably be best if I just go Control-Z a bunch of times with this file. Okay. Yeah, there's my code. It's back in the head. I can now close that file. Let's see, I'm not even using that file anymore because all of the styling is back in the head, right? So there's the head. Let me get rid of that file because since you want me to show you how to do it again, I want to do it without having anything there that would confuse us. I'll even take away that subfolder. So we walk through that same process again. So here's our events page. We see our embedded styles in the top of the page. We also see that embedded style. Oh, look, it's changed. Oh, that's fine. It doesn't matter. We see that embedded style shows up as the all rules within. Notice it says the word style here in the CSS styles panel. That means that it's using the style tag within the document. In order for me to externalize that style sheet, I click on the first rule, I hold the Shift key and go down to the very last rule. I right-click, I say Move CSS Rules to a new style sheet. I click on OK. I go to my, I don't know why it's not seeing that we're inside of our site right now. That's kind of unusual, but I can deal with it. DW Lessons 03, and I'll create a new subfolder, call it CSS. I'll open that, and I'll save this as hw3.css, and I'll click on Save. Now, notice what it did. It removed the styling from the style tag and put it in an external style sheet that the HTML page is linking to. The one thing that it didn't do, though, is that even though it removed the styling from the style tag, it left the style tag empty. So in the CSS Styles panel on the top right-hand corner, I can select Style and just toss that in the trash. I still have my link to that external style sheet now. Okay, now I can save that page. I can go to Design View, and we can see that there is a style sheet called hw3.css that has all of those rules that I was just editing within the embedded style sheet that I subsequently moved to an external style sheet. So does that take care of that for you, Todd? So any new styles created will be placed into the external CSS? Well, that's a great question. The answer is maybe. If I wanted to create a new rule, I can click, let's say I want to use the CSS Styles panel. I can click on Create a New CSS Rule here, right? Or I can go down to my dialog box here and choose CSS, and I can click on Edit a Rule here and create a new one, either one. But the first choice that I have is, do I want, at the bottom it says Rule Definition. Choose where your rule will be defined. So I can define it in this new style sheet, or I can define it in this document only. So I have the choice of leaving it in the external style sheet or having it go directly to the head of this particular document. Okay? Does that answer that question? Okay. So we talked about inline styles, internal, also known as embedded styles, and external styles. Now, what about the cascading element of this? Well, this part is not simple, and I'm not going to go into great detail about it. It's something that we will cover extensively over the semester. Suffice it to say that CSS integrates with HTML, and the idea of cascading styles is the closer the style is to the object, that overrides other things. So let's see, do we have any close styles right in here? We do not. If I wanted to take the words going on, something going on, right? And I'm going to make this paragraph, and I'll say style equal, and I'll say color, colon, blue, semicolon. I just created an inline style, right? There, that text is styled that way. And that's for the paragraph tag. Now, notice the style sheet has a paragraph rule right over here that says that the color is supposed to be gray. But this is overriding that because it's closer. So that's how styles cascade. They cascade from the top, and it starts here with the external style sheet. But if there was something within the head, that would override that. And certainly, if there is something directly related to that paragraph, that's going to override it because it's closer. Okay? Objects, you're talking about the HTML tags. Yeah, objects. You know, when you're dealing with computers and HTML pages, I use the word objects because it can refer to images, it can refer to text. It's part of just object-oriented programming type thinking. Okay? So the idea, and staying focused on our styling here, the idea is that we cascade from the external style sheet to the embedded style sheet to the inline style. And each one, as it gets closer to the object, is going to affect the object, that whether that is text or an animation or an image. All of the rules apply that the closer the styling is to the object, it overrides styling that's further away. Okay? Now, we have we've looked at modifying our styles in several ways already. We've looked at modifying our styles from the CSS Styles panel in Current View, and I just showed it to you in All View as well. I'll just go to Current View for a second, and I'll choose this list. This is an unordered list, and we see there's already a rule for this unordered list, UL, right? The color for UL is 666, which is gray, and the font size is 14. So I can click right here where this little pencil is in the CSS Styles panel, and I can edit the rule there. I can change the font size. Maybe I make it 16. I click on Apply, and look at what happens to this unordered list, these unordered list elements. They get a little bigger, right? I could change the color from here, the background, etc., etc. Another way I can do the same thing is in the Properties panel, I can click on Edit Rule, and that brings up that same dialog box. Okay, so those are the two primary ways that we would be modifying styles, editing them from the Properties panel or from the CSS Styles panel in the top right-hand corner. Okay, now I mentioned that inline styles are not a good thing to do, and that instead of using an inline style, I would normally use a class if I wanted to apply that to something very specific. How do you create a class? Well, there are several ways. One way to create a class is by going to the Properties panel and going down to where it says Targeted Rule, and I can say Apply Class, or I can say New Rule, right? So I'm going to say New Rule. Click on Edit Rule, and the new CSS Rules dialog box pops up, and the type of rule that it is selecting is a class. Now there are 4 different types that show up over here in the CSS Rules dialog box, but for right now let's just focus on class. Class is a rule that you create that you can apply on an as-need basis. So let's say I wanted to emphasize some text. I'm going to create a class called Emphasis. Okay? That's all that it's going to have as its name. And I'm going to let this rule be applied into this external style sheet that we've created in the course of talking about external style sheets and the various style sheets. So I'm going to click on New CSS Rule, and I'm going to make this text pop out. So I'm going to make it kind of a rust color, and I want it to be bold. And I'm not going to change the font family. I just want to emphasize this text anytime I've created it. So I've created a CSS rule for a class called Emphasis. And notice that that class in my Styles panel shows up with a dot before it. All classes start with a dot. Okay? But you didn't see you see that that applied to this text because I had this text selected, right? And I can remove that class from this text. So now it looks like all the rest of the text. I can apply a class on an as-need basis. So if I wanted to say, we gather personal information, occasionally we gather personal information at our events. I can take that text and I could say, apply a class. And the class that shows up is the one that I just created, Emphasis. I click on that, and that text now shows up with that class applied to it. If I go into Code View, we see it says occasionally we gather personal information at our sites, and it says the class Emphasis has been applied to just that portion of text and is doing it inside of the span tag, because the paragraph tag, I'm not applying it to the whole paragraph. If I applied it to the whole paragraph, that class would have been part of that paragraph. But since I'm applying it to just a portion of that paragraph, it's using the span tag, and it's saying you're spanning just a portion of text, and applying a class that you created called emphasis to that span. Okay? So what we just did was we created a class style with the property inspector, and then we applied that class style by going to the properties panel and applying it that way. We've already created and modified styles in the CSS Styles panel. And as I've been doing this, I've just noticed that I've been covering a lot of content from Chapter 4. I don't know how my book got there when I was supposed to look at Chapter 3. So consider all of this icing on the cake, stuff that you're not going to have to do for your homework this week. Boy, oh boy, you just got a whole preview of coming attractions that we didn't need at this very moment. So I'm going to switch gears, and I'm going to talk more about inserting text and images. Okay? So we've looked at styles that you don't have to cover till next week. I'm going to talk about some things that you are going to cover for this week, including inserting text and images. So inserting text we kind of have already done. That's not a big deal. But let's look at inserting images. So I'm going to double click on this products page, and these are files that are already completed. So I'm going to see that my products page, my final version of the products page from the chapter, has a bunch of images in it already. I'm going to create a page that's going to look similar to that. So here's my page. It just says the word produce. And I can insert images in several different ways. One, I can just open up the images panel, and I can drag the image. And as soon as I drag it, it brings up the image tag accessibility attributes dialog box, and I'll type in beats, and I'll click on OK. Then I'm going to hit my enter or return key, and I'll insert another image, but I'll do it differently. I'll say insert image, and I'll go into my images, and I'll choose Belgian chocolate, and I'll click on OK, and I'll say chocolate as my alt text. I'll hit the enter or return key again, and this time I'll do it a third way. In the common panel, I'll see there's this drop down here that says image, and I can say click on that icon, and that's also a different way to insert an image. And I'll choose cucumbers. I'll click on OK. I'll type in cukes, and I'll do one more, enter or return. Do I have another way to do it? Sure, I can use the keyboard shortcut. I believe it is Control-Alt-I. So I go Control-Alt-I or Command-Alt-I for the Mac users, and choose eggplants. Click on OK, and I'll say eggplants. So I've inserted 4 images, one on top of the other. No nice styling to that, but it's just a matter of inserting the images. And there's a couple of things I want to show you about using those images. So the first one there is our beeps. Notice in the dialog box, it shows me the width and the height of that image. In the dialog box I'm talking about is the Properties panel dialog box. I also see there's a link that I can edit this image in Photoshop. There's another link where I can edit the image settings. If I click on that gear, it will change the quality of this image to maybe a different preset. So I can choose maybe JPEG for photos, or JPEG high for maximum compatibility. I can choose JPEG for photos. Well, that quality is very high, and it might make my file size bigger than I want it to be. This is just a thumbnail, and the file size is 32. What happens if I turn this to 50? My file size becomes 4K. I'll click on OK. Okay, I'll do that to my Belgian chocolates as well, and I'll make this 60. And I'll click on OK again. Now you can see the quality looks a little rougher here. So if I wanted to, I could go back. I can say, you know what, I want a higher quality image. And we see the quality of the image got a little higher. I'll go for 80. And I'll click on OK. And that's a nice trade-off between file size and image quality. So I'll click on OK again. Yes, it does change the original image in the folder. That's why very often people have two versions. They have their Photoshop version, which has not been affected by this, and their JPEG or GIF or PNG version, which is affected. Okay, I'm going to change this to 80, and let's change, and that reduces the size of the image considerably without really killing the quality. And I'll do that again one more time. So I've adjusted my file sizes, but I can do some other things to these images as well. So for example, if I'm looking at this chocolate, if I want there to be more, if I want it to be sharper, I can click on this little sharpen icon, and it says this is going to permanently alter the image. Yes, I'm going to sharpen it a little bit. And I can do the same thing for my beets. And sharpen it a bit. And I'll also change the contrast of my beets. Maybe make it a little more contrast. Okay, we see when I slide that, it changes the contrast of the image. I click on OK, and it's changed that image. So, do we need to save images as JPEGs or PNGs for the homework site? Well, most of the time you'll be working with, so that really brings up a different conversation. What's a JPEG best for and what's a PNG best for? The short answer to that is JPEGs are best for photographs. PNGs are best for images that might have a transparent background. So it does really depend on what your purpose is that you're going to be using it for. Okay? Sharpening does not affect the file size. Generally speaking, sharpening doesn't affect the file size. That's correct. Okay? So we've inserted these images, and the book talks about this is creating a gallery. And the way they have you create a gallery here is they have you select the thumbnail and then link to the full-size image. So several ways to link. I can click on the Browse for File. I can go to that Images folder. I can click on Beets Large. I can select the chocolate, and instead of Browse for Folder, I can drag this little target and point to that file. And a lot of people like that way. I'll select the cucumbers, and I'll point to Cucumbers Large. And for eggplant, I'll do it the Browse for File. So those are the two primary ways that I would suggest that you do your linking. Now if I save this page and preview it, if I click on this beets, it shows me the large picture. Same thing with chocolates. Same thing with cucumbers. And same thing with eggplants. Now, this is not a particularly nice gallery, you know. Let's not kid ourselves here. This is basic, and you're going to be creating much nicer galleries as we go along. But learning the basics in the Properties panel, I think, is a really good thing for us to do. So it's 11 o'clock. We're going to take a 10-minute stretch break. That way everybody can stretch their bodies a little bit, maybe go outside and get a couple of minutes of fresh air. We'll come back in 10 minutes, and we're going to have lots more fun with Dreamweaver. So let's take our 10-minute break. Okay, we're back from our break. Everybody can still see the Dreamweaver interface the products.html page with those images, I hope? Check, check, good. Okay, so there were a couple of questions. Does it automatically create a gallery page? No, this is not really a gallery. The way I created the gallery was simply clicking on the thumbnail and then browsing to the full-size image. And that is the extent of the gallery that is being created. The purpose of linking to a larger image is just so you can get a nicer view. Like if you go to eBay or Amazon or any site that you're buying products, you might be browsing through a bunch of different products, and if you want to get a closer look, you can click on an image and get a fuller, a larger size version of that image. So hopefully that answers those questions. Okay, good. So now we've talked about placing images on the page. We've talked about editing those images using the tools within the Properties panel. I mentioned to you that you can edit the image within a full image editing program like Photoshop by clicking on that link. And you can also create a connection to a Photoshop version of the document, which we're not going to cover today in great detail. It's not important for us to cover that right now. But I want to make sure that I deal with everything that's in the lesson 3 of the book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you now about previewing in browsers. And there's a couple of things that I want to mention about previewing in browsers. First of all, you can get good benefit of examining what your page looks like in different browsers that is kind of irreplaceable. You can use different approaches to do that, but by actually looking at it in different browsers, I find to be the most effective way of really knowing what your page looks like. So how do you define what browsers are being used? Well, when you install Dreamweaver, your operating system knows, the Dreamweaver interface knows what browsers you have installed. You can control, though, additional browsers or change the order of what your preferred browser is in several ways. The way I'm going to show you is from within the document view. So here's our document over here in Dreamweaver. And if I click on this little icon, Preview, Debug, and Browser, when I click on that icon, I can see that I've got 4 different ways that I can preview this page. But I also see at the very bottom, I have an Edit Browser List choice. And what this does is it launches Dreamweaver's preferences. Specifically, it launches the Preview in Browser preference. The nice thing about this is it shows me the browsers that I've got installed, and it allows me to choose my default browser. In my case, I'm choosing Chrome as my default. My secondary browser, in this case I'm choosing Firefox as my secondary, and then add in any other additional browsers that I want. Now some people also like to notice that there's a checkbox here that says Options, Preview using Temporary File. The nice thing about this is for those people who get concerned about previewing a file using a testing server, which is what we do in our class, which automatically updates the document directly to the server. By previewing using a temporary file, it actually doesn't do that. It doesn't save your file and upload it and replace what's existing. It previews with just a temporary file that eventually gets deleted from the server. The only downside to that is then you have to actually go through the process of putting your file by using the arrow keys above the document or the up arrow key down over here in the Files panel on the right-hand side. So the Preview in Browser dialog icon at the top of the document window allows you to choose which browser you want to preview it in, and then at the bottom of that set of choices, it allows you to edit your preferences related to your browsers. Let's say you install the new browser after Dreamweaver has been installed. You might have to go find that browser. You click on Edit, you click on Browse, and then you'd have to go through your process of finding wherever that browser is. You know, if it was Opera, you'd probably have to go to your program files and go through the process of finding that executable file. Okay? So at this point, you can see I've got these three browsers. I can click on OK. Now if I click on Preview in Chrome or Preview in Firefox, it's simply going to launch that browser. And we can see that here is that page in browser view. And if I click on the thumbnail, I get to the full-size version. But you'll notice the URL, or the web address, is a local web address that says file:/c users blah 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 blah, right? This is not up on the internet. This is a local file. One very important thing to remember: when you're uploading your pages, you want to make sure that this up here is the path to the student server, to your subdirectory. Because if you are checking your file and it says file:// whatever else it says, that means it's looking at files that are local to your machine, and nobody else is going to be able to see those. Okay? So any questions about previewing your browsers? Would local view ever display differently from web view? No, local view. Yeah, well, local view could display differently when you're dealing with Adobe Flash, which has security settings that don't let Flash render locally, that you have to override. That's the kind of time that you'd run into this. But for simple pages, no, it wouldn't. Each browser is a bit different, that's for sure. Okay, now as we saw last week in Dreamweaver, if I clicked on Live View, it actually shows me an inside of Dreamweaver view of what it would look like on the Chrome or Safari web browsers, right? Firefox and Safari are used for the Firefox, Chrome, and Safari are acceptable for the Mac side. If you're on the PC side, you have to have Internet Explorer installed. Now, I'm not sure of your question. That's only for the homework due right and not for the practice assignments. Can you clarify that for me? Yeah, IE is always the true test, yes. And the fact of the matter is that IE still has a sizable portion of web pages being viewed through it. So you do have to concern yourself with how it looks inside of IE. Okay, and Sydney, if you can clarify that question for me, I would be able to properly answer it for you. So we've looked at previewing pages in a web browser. We've also seeing the local view is only related for the practice assignments. That's correct. CSS links will not validate through links locally as well. Well, that's not true, actually, Robert. If I would take this page and view it locally by going Preview in that browser, I turn off Live. Now I say Preview in Chrome. And with my handy web developer toolbar, which is right here, I can now select CSS and, well, actually, no, I want to go Tools, not CSS. And I can validate local CSS. So the web developer toolbar, that's one of the reasons why I've had you install it, is that it will validate both HTML and CSS locally, assuming it ever connects to the server there. But in theory, it should do that. Okay, so we've talked about understanding how to preview in browsers. The Web Developer Toolbar is hanging up a little bit here. I'm not going to worry about that. So we're going to go back to cover a couple other things in the books, and one that the book talks about is understanding hyperlinks. So I already showed you, if you selected an image or text, you can hyperlink it by going to the Properties panel and clicking on Browse for File, or dragging this little icon and pointing it to a file. You can also type in an HTTP URL down in the links dialog box. And finally, you can actually select Insert Hyperlink. And then when you select Insert Hyperlink, you have all those choices to browse to a file, etc., including also putting the my brain is just going blank for a second here. 1 second. Putting the actual URL in this dialog box. So that hyperlink is yet one more way that you can use the to link an image or text to another location. Okay, you could pull a link from another site, of course, absolutely. So here I go out to here, and I'm going to type in Belgian chocolate, and ooh, look at this. Well, that's not that nice. I want more. I want nicer Belgian chocolate. Okay, let's see how this one looks. It looks a little nicer. We're going to Belgium, and we've got even a video of chocolate. So I go to my Dreamweaver page. I select this link here, and I go into my link dialog box down here. I take that out, and I paste the link that I just created. I'm going to save this page. I'm going to preview it. And now when I click on this Belgian chocolate picture, it takes me to Visit Belgium, where we can watch a whole movie about Belgian chocolates. Right. Okay? So yes, within the hyperlinks text field at the bottom of the properties inspectors, you can do that, but you can also do it by using the insert link choice. Speaking of links, this type of link that we see down here, and I'm going to go into split view so we can see this, this type of link where it says http://, this is what's called an absolute link. Okay, it goes to a specific page, and that's different than a relative link where we see this beat. It says a space href images / beats. This is relative to the location of where those files are. Okay, so there's a difference between an absolute link and a relative link, and if you need any more kind of clarity about that, on page 77 and 78 of the lesson 3 in our text, it kind of covers that. Todd, you've got a question mark there. I'm not sure what that's about. Let me know. Okay, so what about other things that are covered inside of our lesson 3 chapter? Let's say I want to have somebody email me about Belgian chocolates. They want to send me a box of Belgian chocolates because they like me so much. Okay, so I open up my events page, and let's say I say contact me. Okay, I can take this text and I can say insert email link, and I can go down here, put in my email, and create an email link like that. So now if I preview this page, when I clicked on this, it would launch my email program and put my email address in the to box of my email. Okay, so that covers all of that, having to do with hyperlinks, having to do with inserting text, etc., etc. Any questions at this point about hyperlinks, about absolute versus relative hyperlinks, previewing in browsers, linking to email addresses, etc., etc.? Won't that send from the default? Yeah, it's going to send from whatever their default email program is, and I would assume that whatever your default email program is going to be your preferred email program. Yep. How do sites send emails without using? Well, you have to. How do sites send emails without using the default email program? Well, sometimes what a site can do is when you click on a link, it opens up a form, and you fill out the form, the text field within the form, and then click on the send button. Some websites have you contact them that way, but any site that launches an email program then has to connect to your computer, and your computer makes the decision of what program to use based on how you've defined your default program, or your default email program. Okay? So in CSS class, we were taught to include the email address on the page in case the form is broken or the user doesn't use an email client. Well, if the form is broken, then that wouldn't work, but the email address is on this page. As a matter of fact, if I went to page view, and I said view CSS, right there, it shows me that my email address is actually there. Now, if you mean that the display the actual email, okay, first of all, you can actually copy and paste this even without displaying the actual email. You could right-click on it, and you could say copy, and that would copy the URL as well. But if you wanted to go through that whole process, you could say contact me at jdiamond@santarosa.edu. Oh, I'm going to make this non-linked. Okay, and then I would take jdiamond@santarosa.edu, insert email link, and look, it's already filled out because it knows that that's a valid URL. So now we have the best of both worlds. Okay? Now there's one downside to doing that. Spam bots can also copy and paste that email address. So while another professor might have a different view of making it easier for the user, we don't want to make it easy for the spam bots. Okay? Some people, I have other instructors that won't even put their email address on the page at all because spam bots can, start using that email address for nefarious purposes. So, moving right along, I'm going to finish up this chapter talking about lists. So, creating lists. There are three types of lists that we're going to be dealing with. One is an unordered list. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to show you right here, I've got these paragraphs where it says spring events. Free body lotion samples, cheese tasting, wine tasting, free chocolate samples. Each of these lines of text are in their own paragraph tag, as we can see right down over here in my tag selector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all 4 of those lines of text, and I'm going to go to my Properties panel. In my Properties panel, you see I have an icon for Unordered List. As soon as I click on that, it creates each of those as a list item. If I select these and go into Split View, you'll see the way it's structured in my code is that it uses the UL tag to start my unordered list. It is easy. And then it creates a list item for each of those elements, and then closes each one of those list items. And at the end of that list, it closes the UL. Okay? So we see that an unordered list is very easy to create. The same thing can be true of an ordered list. Let's say I go here and I say I don't want an unordered list anymore. Oh, come on, I hate when that happens. That happens in Dreamweaver sometimes. Come on, there we go. And I'll say I like numbered lists. And I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. So all I did was type in those words and hit the Enter key. And now I can select all 4 of those elements and click on Ordered List, and there it creates a numbered list. So I've got split view going on here, and we can see we have a UL for unordered list and a /UL to close that unordered list. Then we have an ordered list, starts with the OL tag, has each of those list items again, and closes that list with the ordered list tag, /OL. So these are your 2 basic list types that are incredibly easy to define and create. I did leave off one type of list, though, which is not easy to define and create, known as the definition list. So, definition, oh, I'm not typing anywhere. Okay, I'm going to click back in here. I'll hit the Enter or Return key and get out of that list. Definition lists are a bit trickier. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you how definition lists work now. And I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go out to dictionary.com. And I'll pull in Cascading Style Sheet. And yes, I did mean Cascading Style Sheet. What does our dictionary say about it? Okay, here it says Cascading Style Sheet. Where's our definition? Oh, geez, this is really not that good. Well, let's let Wikipedia. Well, oh, let's see what happens if I click there. It's supposed to be a dictionary definition. Gee, why don't you make it really hard for me? Dictionary. Okay, here. This works. So I'm going to grab this like this. I'm going to just copy it. I'm going to go to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to just paste it in here. And actually, I'm going to paste it in a way that doesn't keep the formatting. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to choose Paste Special. And I'm going to say Paste Text Only. Click on OK. So now it didn't give me any of the styling that came from that website, right? So I'm going to just go like this. I'm going to take this, out this. So here I've got the word Cascading Style Sheets, and then I've got this definition. I'm going to go find another word we want to define. How about spam bot? Dictionary. Did I mean spam bot? Sure, I meant spam bot. Come on, what do you think? And here, I've got that text right here. I'm going to copy it. Right click, I can copy. I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go after my Cascading Style Sheets, hit the Enter Return key, right click, choose Paste Special, and make sure it says Text Only, and there I've got some information, right? It's not formatted maybe exactly the way I'd expect. But here, I've got a definition term and a dictionary definition. Another definition term and another dictionary definition. The way I would create these into definition lists are by selecting and dragging through both of those definitions and both of those terms, and selecting Insert, HTML, no, wrong, sorry, Format, I did that twice today, Format, List, Definition List. And then let's see how that looks over here in our code view. Well, we see the word definition lists are a bit trickier, shows up in a paragraph. I'll make that jump out a little more by making that heading 2. Okay? And then we see Cascading Style Sheet. Notice it shows up inside of the DT tag. Okay? And the definition for Cascading Style Sheet shows up in the DD tag. Spambot shows up in the DT tag, and its definition shows up in the DD tag. So DT stands for dictionary term, DD stands for dictionary definition. And both terms and definitions show up in a greater DL list. So there are 3 tags that are associated with dictionary terms. DL for the definition list, DT for the term, and DD for the definition. So anytime you create a dictionary definition, your structure has to look like this: DL, DD, and DT. Actually, the order would be DL, DT, DD. And then if you have another term, DT, DD. And then another term, DT, DD. Finally, the whole list closes with DL. Keep that in mind, since that is part of the homework assignment. How come DL is not on the Properties panel? You, my friend, will have to write to Adobe and ask them that question. But it just isn't there. That's why you have to go up to Format, List, and pick it from that. Okay? As opposed to other lists that use 2 tags. That's correct, Todd. So the homework does require that you use your dictionary, your definition list skills, and I want to make sure that that's crystal clear. So are there any questions about the definition list at this point? I'm still here. No, just questions in general? Well, there'll always be questions. Spaces above and below. Okay, when you say spaces above and below, Phyllis, what specifically do you mean? Well, DD and DT styles, that's right. So I'm going to assume, and it's always dangerous to assume, but I'll do it anyway. I'm going to assume that you want to style your definition list a little differently. Is that what you mean, Phyllis? Okay, so let's take a look at that. Here I've got my definition list, and I want to maybe underline the term and then put a little padding around the definition. Easy peasy Japanesey. I'll select my DT tag, and I'll say CSS, edit rule, tag, the DT tag. And I'll say I want my DT tag to have the color be rusty. And I want the text to be decorated underlined. And I click on OK. And boom, my DT, yes I know. Oh, that's bad. You're watching my expressions. I'm giving away too much. Well, we'll do that for a couple of minutes. And now I can go down to DD and do the same thing. Edit rule, tag, DD, click on OK. I'll go to box, and I'll choose padding, and maybe put padding of 5 on the top, and maybe 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and 5 on the bottom, and click on OK. So now we've created a styling for our definition list, which, oh, thank you. I love my door. Solid core. Gotta. That's not funny, Scott. My door is solid core. You got to go for solid core doors. Okay, now you guys are distracting me. I'm shutting off the video. Okay. So we can see that when it comes to the definition list, we've styled it so my term looks a little nicer, and I have a little spacing with my DD. And basically, the takeaway from that is that anytime you're styling anything, you always want to do that with your style sheet, never with anything having to do with the HTML. Okay, so we looked at the definition lists. We've looked at styling the definition list. Can you put text in DL tags? No, the DL tag is simply declaring that this is going to be a definition list. Okay, it's the DT and the DD that actually contain the content. Okay. Anything else? No? Good. So, let's see. We've talked about creating lists. We've talked about inserting images. We've talked about linking images. The only thing we haven't talked about that is covered in Chapter 3 is using placeholders. And I'll do that right now. So let's say I'm going to go back to my products page. Let's say you're working with a designer that hasn't given you the content for your page yet. So you need to have some pictures on this page. You know you're going to need pictures, but you don't have the pictures yet. What developers often do is create placeholders for those images. So I can select from my Insert menu, I can select Insert Image Objects and put in an image placeholder. And I could say, this is where my beats are going to be, and I know that I want my image to be 300 pixels wide by 200 pixels in height. And I click on OK, and it puts my image placeholder in. So just to get a sense of what your page would look like, you can put in image placeholders. Another way to do that, instead of going to the Insert menu, is going to the Common tab and clicking on the drop-down next to the image icon and choose Image Placeholder, and I'll put in Cukes, and I'll set my width to be 300 and my height to be 200 and click on OK again. So you can see that you can easily place placeholders for an image onto a page even before you get to the content from your developers. So that covers everything in the chapter having to do with Lesson 3, and we also covered a portion of Lesson 4. Now I'm going to jump over to the homework to make sure I have covered that sufficiently, and I'll go back to the chat window after that and answer any questions that I haven't gotten. I see there's 1 or 2 questions there and any other ones that show up. So I'm going to talk about homework for next week. So, homework for next week. No, it has nothing to do with spam bots. It has nothing to do with Organic Utopia or Belgian chocolate. It has to do with your homework 2. So, this is what it says. You want to make sure you remove the insert logo here placeholder from your index.html page and replace it with index to Dreamweaver home page or similar welcoming information, and your footer contains your name and intro to Dreamweaver. Once this is done, re-upload your index page. That's step 1. Step 2 is to read Lesson 3. Step 3 is to watch these 2 videos on the tv.adobe.com website. One has to do with adding structure to your text. The other has to do with optimizing images. Step 4 is to examine my homework 2 example page, which looks like this. And I have my favorite picture in the world, which is an unordered list and these list items. Now, being that this is in England, I can't imagine that this would be an unordered list. I would think this would be an ordered list. But by the looks of the picture, maybe these guys are on break or something. Okay? So we examine the homework 2 example page, and then we open up Dreamweaver and select hw2.html. You have already built that page. Then you select Modify Page Properties and change the background and text color. So I'm going to now do these things so we can actually see this in process. So I'm going to go to my Intro to Dreamweaver folder. There's my index page. And at this point, I can even go File, save this as hw2.html, click on Save, and say, make a couple of pages, changes, take out all this additional text down here. This is supposed to have my name. Okay. And then I want to modify the page properties and change the background and text color. So I can go down to my Properties panel, and I can change the text color and click on Apply. Okay. That's not a very good text color for the design purposes, so I'm going to go to Page Properties again. I'm going to make it a bit darker. I'll go for a forest green. Okay. Then it says change the background as well. Okay. So back to Page Properties. Background color, I'll make it a lighter, maybe a nice light gray. Okay, so I've changed the background color of my page as well as my text color. Place one image, any image no greater than 400 by 400 at a screen resolution of 72 as a link to homework 3. Well, yes, we don't have homework 3 yet, but we're just practicing inserting images and creating links. So I'm going to say insert image, and I'll find an image someplace. If I don't have one within my site, I'm sure I can find one someplace else. Okay, and I'll say, calm down. There's my picture. And now if I want to make this picture a link, all I have to do is select it, go down to where it says links, and I can say browse for file. And since you've already, in the instructions that you've had from me, you've already created a homework 3, you would already have this link here, but I'm going to just do it a little differently. I'm going to cheat here by duplicating homework 2 and then renaming it in the Files panel homework 3. And now, with this image selected, I can click on Browse for File, select HW3, click on OK, and now that image is linked to homework 3, even though homework 3 might not have anything in it. After that, I'm supposed to write a one-paragraph summary of an article you find on Dreamweaver CS6 with a link to an article. I love the way Dreamweaver supports more of the CSS3 styles. The article here shows how Dreamweaver allows for multiple backgrounds, etc., etc., right? So then, of course, I would have to have an article that I read, and I think that's easy enough for me to find. Let's see, Dreamweaver CS6 CSS3 support. There's my article. CSS transitions. Oh boy, that was easy. Don't dare use my article. I found it first. Okay? The article here. And then I go down to, I've selected, I've written my paragraph, I've selected some text, I go to HTML view, I click in link, and I simply paste that URL. That's an absolute URL. I paste that URL, and there I have the URL that links to that article. Okay, so that's the one paragraph summary of an article you find on Dreamweaver CS6 with a link to the article. That's step 6C of the homework. Step 7, A, B, and C, is to create an ordered list listing the first 3 items under the Create New window. In other words, ordered list. And then if I go File, New, Create, well actually I have to close this page for a second. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to close all these pages. Okay, so here is my welcome screen. An ordered list listing the first 3 items under the Create New welcome screen, dialog box of the welcome screen. So let me read this instruction again because it's absolutely clear on the page, but it's not clear coming out of my mouth. Create the following list types based on the information on the Dreamweaver welcome screen. An ordered list listing the first 3 items under Create New. So there's my ordered list. I would have to go to that page, right, and put the first 3 items I see under Create New. An unordered list listing the first 3 items under Top Features. And then finally, a definition list that defines the meaning of the term image placeholder. And image placeholder is defined in our book. I'm going to check to see if I have the right pages there. If not, I'll no, those aren't the right pages, but it is in that chapter. Okay? So the important thing for you to do is just find the definition of image placeholders. It's actually on page 88. Okay? And then put that in your definition list. Okay? So you'd have an ordered list with those 3 elements. And I'll tell you the first one was this. Okay, I can take those 3 elements, click on Ordered List, then undo my ordered list and say Unordered List, and then I have 3 other answers. And I would take those elements and create an unordered list, and then I would have my definition list show up after that. The key thing that I will point out to you now is that the definition list is the one that more people don't get right and lose points on for their homework. I showed you how you can choose to go Format, List, Definition List right from here. That's the way you're going to be doing it. So make sure that you use those 3 tags I showed earlier in my presentation about your lists. So that takes care of step 7 of the homework. Finally, you upload your web page to your website by selecting the Preview in Browser window. And as soon as you do that, by virtue of the fact that we tested, that we put a check mark in our site definition for testing, and let me just show you what I mean by that. I don't know if I did it in my test version here, but let's just see. Yep, this little check mark here, because of the fact that you have that check mark in your testing server portion of your site definition, when you preview in browser, it automatically puts the file up to the website. Now, even though that's the case, you should make sure to test that your link goes from your index page to your HW2 page. In other words, if I'm on the website and I select student homework links, and is there anybody that has homework 2 already done, so I can use that as an example? Okay, well, let me just, Todd, yeah, thank you, Todd. I like these overachievers. Okay, right there. So if I click here and I roll over homework 2, I click on homework 2 and it takes me to Todd's homework 2 page. Way to go, Todd. So the important thing, and this is super important, like I said in the instructions on the website for assignment number 2, I do not get another email from you. You do not send me another email and say, here's homework 2, here's homework 3, here's homework 4. I check all of the homework from the index page, because if you properly defined your site and properly defined your path to your pages, then when I select your index page, I should be able to get to all of your subsequent pages. It's your responsibility to make sure that those links work properly. Okay? And it's my responsibility to be available for you during office hours to correct the problems when they arise. Okay? So, just to make sure that this is all clear, that is the homework for next week. Now, I'm going to answer any questions that I see in the chat window. Q&A. Okay? So, and then I'll answer any questions that you might have related to the homework as well. So I'm going to go back to where Scott said, how about the stuff on the right side? I know that was a while ago, but what did you mean by that? Okay, I'll give Scott some time to go back to that. Todd, is it better to have a link open in the same window or in another tab? Well, when it comes to XHTML 1.0 strict, it has to open in the same window. You cannot use a target tag that does not validate for XHTML 1.0 strict. Okay, good. Let's see. Validate to. Yes, they all have to validate. So so when you click on your W3C XHTML 1.0, you always want to check that they validate. Very, very important, because that's another way that people lose points on a regular basis. Let's see, going down our list of questions. I think I've read that it's better for accessibility issues to have windows open in the same window versus opening in a new one as well. For the most part, I would agree with that. There are times that I have a separate window open up because, like when I show videos, I have it open up in a separate window, but I do not use target _blank. I use JavaScript to have that happen. Okay, let's see, it's Ashana's question there, comment/question. Are there any other comments/questions about the homework, about what we covered today? And we covered far and wide, hither and yon, lots of good information. No? Ready to try it? Good, I like to hear that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this recording, and I'm going to stick around for just a couple of minutes in case anybody has any questions that they can feel free to ask me when the recording is not running. But that will be the conclusion of our recording for this class, Week 3, Intro to Dreamweaver, Fall 2012. Thank you all. See you next week.